Hi folks, it's Mr. Valkyrie. I have a KTM 1290 and had to go in for a recall, and they gave me this to ride around on, and I thought it might be fun just to do a quick little review of it. Let me back up a bit. In the 60s, when I started riding, a good benchmark for the performance of an engine was 100 brake horsepower per litre of capacity. And not many bikes, not many retail bikes could come close to that. In fact, 50 brake horsepower per litre was a closer measure. So a 500cc bike back in the 60s might do 25 brake horsepower. But there was an exception. The exception to the rule was the little Ducati singles. And I was always very taken by the Ducati singles. They had a very high performance engine, and they had a bevel driven overhead cam engine. It was a single cylinder, but the bikes were very small, very light, handled well, and they had this engine that could do 100 brake horsepower per litre on a single cylinder. And even by today's standards, that's a good engine. In 1974 I bought myself a Ducati 250 and I rode it around for some years, and I really liked the bike. In fact, I still got the bike, and it's not on the road at the moment, but at some point I'll get the bike on the road and I can show it to you. Anyway, that sparked my interest in little bikes. I realised that you didn't have to have a big bike to have fun. It wasn't like playing Doom, where you go from level to level and you get bigger and bigger bikes, and you know, each bike is like an end of level monster that you have to conquer. It's not like that. So I've got a KTM 1290, and that's a big bike, but it doesn't mean that's the most fun you can ever have on a bike. In fact, I was really interested to see what this would feel like. Because, as I say, I'm interested in small bikes. So this is the KTM 390 Duke. I'm not sure which year it is. It's a demonstrator bike, so I assume that it's probably 2018. It is an upgrade model. It's a neat little bike. I can tell you straight off that there are things about it I don't like. That seat hump. Although I'm only 5'11", I have longer legs and long arms. And that seat bump is a right bloody nuisance. I want to push back a little bit further, and the reason for that is, if you look, you'll see that the gear shift is actually set back a bit. So when I'm riding, my leg is like this. It's right back, and it's not very comfortable for me. However, it's a 390. I don't know if that, in KTM terms, that's probably a 400cc bike. It's got a beautiful engine in it. You know, there are certain engines in this world that are just like magnificent engines. The Honda 600 engine, for example. I had a Fireblade for 20 years. That had a gorgeous engine in it. And this is a gorgeous engine. So what I'm going to do is go for a little ride around here. It's beautiful countryside. The sun is actually shining. It's February. The roads are in a terrible state. We've had snow. They're covered in every kind of crap you can imagine. But anyway, I'm going to go out. I'm not going to be able to push the tyres car hard. It's too cold. There's too much water about. But I'll do my best to see what the bike can do. And come along with me. So, a little bit of context. There used to be a village here, and presumably that's why they built the church. And then in the year 1350, the Black Death came through, and presumably wiped out most of the population. So they abandoned the place. They obviously felt it was unlucky, and so apart from a couple of farmhouses, you've got a church and nothing else. Just a church in the middle of nowhere. They moved the village right up onto the top of the hill there. It's the Cotswold edge. That's where I'm going to go now. Now, as I've said, the roads are in a pitiful state. I normally ride around here on a Honda CRF 250L with knobblies fitted, and I'm used to, just put my bag on, I'm used to knobblies, so I know what I can get away with. And I've already discovered that the tyres on the Duke here aren't very forgiving in mud. They don't like mud at all. Anyway, let you have a good look at the bike. I understand these are made in India, and I understand they're actually quite popular in India. So if you're in India and you're watching this, hi. It's I hope you enjoy seeing England. Just for reference, I'm about 25 miles north of Bristol. So, welcome to Merry England. This is what it looks like. I've got to take care because as I say, I'm used to doing this on knobblies, and as you can see, this is not a road for slicks. Oh, bloody hell. However, it is a perfect little bike for hooning around, particularly small roads, which is something I particularly enjoy. There's so much countryside you can see that's off a main road. You don't need a big bike. You can enjoy it far more with something that's small and light and agile, which is why I bought the CRF 250, but that's beside the point. This does the job very well also, and it's considerably more powerful. Woohoo! I'll wait for these people to go past. Morning. One reason why I don't do loud exhausts. I can almost guarantee to meet a horse. Right, this way. So this, I don't know what the red line is. I notice the tach is hitting the red at around 8,000 RPM, and that's actually very similar to my Ducati, which also red lines at 8,000. So very typical for a single cc engine, single cylinder engine. One thing I've noticed at speeds like this, I'm doing 20 miles an hour, I'm in third gear, and it's snatchy. There's not just slight throttle opening, and it jerks like all hell, and it's not good enough. Fuel injection has moved on. It may have been acceptable in the late 90s, but 20 years later, I don't expect snatchy fuel injection. Never experienced it on a carbureted bike. Don't experience it on my 1290. As a lot of people will buy this bike for commuting, I don't think that's a particularly good thing. I love the responsiveness. Just twist the throttle, it goes. I should say that although I'm complaining about the seating position, my friend Brian used one of these for commuting for a couple of years, and when his Hayabusa was off the road, he'd come out on a Wednesday night and we'd all go off into Wales, and I think there wasn't a single person that wasn't deeply impressed by how quickly he could make this thing go. It'll go up to 100 miles an hour. I had it at 80 on the motorway yesterday, and it gets to 80 quite easily. It does feel, you know, once you're at 80, it's doing 8,000 RPM, it does feel buzzy. Not in a really seriously irritating way, but yeah, it's not a long distance bike at that speed. Let's make it go! Engage! 70, 78. Oops, I shouldn't be doing that, should I? So let's go down to 4th gear, 40 miles an hour, roll on. To 50 miles an hour. 3rd gear. I can't, let's slow down. I can't tell you just how much I like this engine. It's such a sweet engine. Almost no vibration, butter smooth, accelerates in every gear, broad spread of torque. It's a gem of an engine. I think if you wanted to, you know, use it for distances, it's going to be a bit too cramped. And I'm sure there are people doing 1,000-mile trips on it, but for me, it feels too cramped. It's even smaller than my Ducati. I used to go touring and camping and long distance on the Ducati, and it wasn't a big deal. I've done hundreds of miles too up on the Ducati. Not a big deal. This, I think, is a different proposition. Overtaking, I think, feels easy. There's plenty of snap for pulling out. So, this is the point at which I'm going to give it a little bit of a trial, see what the roads are like, but we've got a few switchbacks ahead. Well, it's not going to be the full knee-down action today, I'm afraid. The roads are just a bit iffy, but I'd just like to stress that this bike isn't small bike quick. It is authentically quick by any standards. And in fact, I doubt you'd be doing this much quicker on a bigger bike. Not today, anyway. No, I don't like these corners. Oh. On a summer's day, when it's 20 degrees, you can do them right over, but not today, I'm afraid. It's only about 9 degrees. Might even be less than that, feels less. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. It's fun to have a go on the little bike. Would I buy one? Probably not. It's a bit too snug for me. It's not the fact it's a small capacity bike, it's just the naked bike, really squashed up frame thing isn't really working for me. I ride a Honda CRF 250 and I have great fun on that, but the riding position is completely different and it makes a big difference to me.